Hello Nookers, this is By Bro Zayn. Kami po ang tagakwento ng libro ng pananampalataya. Hello Nookers, we are in the 11th topic answering the Protestant fallacies about the Catholic faith. Protestants believe that only priests or qualified religious can teach the scripture classes. Wala pong simbahan o turo ang simbahang Katolika sa limitasyon sa pagbibigay aral tungkol sa Biblia. The Pope have never imposed such limitation or has any in Vatican department. Such limitation would be imposed only if priests or religious and no one else had a duty to spread faith. But it is not the case. We are all called to accept the truth, to live it, and to spread it. The Great Commission, Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 to 20, has given a special way to the apostles, but it applies to all of us. One way we can engage in evangelization is teaching our fellow parishioners about the Bible. May kasabihan nga po tayo mula kay Saint Jerome that ignorance of the Bible is ignorance of Christ. This is a good thing to keep in our mind. Sa bawat parokya ng simbahan, kung hinahanap lamang po natin sila, ay may mga taong or may mga laikong biyasa sa Biblia that they are able to convey accurately the church understanding about the scripture to the class. Next, number 12. The gospel contains lot of inconsistencies. Ito ang pinapaniwalaan ng mga kapatid natin ng mga Protestants. So, tanong ko lang, what do you mean by inconsistencies? It is outright contradictions? There aren't any. Passages seems to be saying different things. There are some, but they can be harmonized. They can be read together to make a sensible account. Nookers, let's consider the incident where Jesus heals the two blind men outside the Jericho. Okay, in Matthew chapter 20, verse 29 to 34, the men are unnamed and are healed as Jesus leaves the city. In Mark chapter 10, verse 46 to 52, only one blind man, Bartimaeus, is mentioned, and he is healed as Jesus leaves the city. In Luke chapter 18, verse 35 to 43, only one blind man is mentioned, but he is not named, and seems to be healed as Jesus entered the city, not as he leaves it. Certainly, all these passages refer to the same incident. So, how can two apparent inconsistencies can be reconciled? Here is one way. Bartimaeus called out to Jesus as he and the crowd entered Jericho. But in the commotion, Bartimaeus was not heard. By the time Jesus left the city, Bartimaeus had been joined by another blind man. Only Bartimaeus' name is recorded, perhaps because of his persistence, perhaps because he later became known in the Christian community. Bartimaeus calls out again, and this time is heard because the crowd is now subdued. So Jesus cures him and the other man. Here is another example of the inconsistency na sinasabi ng mga Protestante about sa gospel. Okay, sa Matthew chapter 20, verse 20 to 21, the mother of James and John approached Jesus and asked that her son might sit at his right and left when he came into his kingdom. Sabi ng mother ni John and James, Lord, sana pagdating mo sa kaharian mo, yung uupo sa kanan at kaliwa ay ang aking mga anak. Pero, kung babasahin naman natin yung Mark chapter 10 verse 35 to 37, mismong si James at si John naman ang gumawa ng request na yon. So, sino ang papaniwalaan natin sa dalawang evangelist? Si Mark ba o si Matthew? Parehas po. Kasi wala naman pong inconsistency doon sa gospel. The mother of James and John first approached Jesus, paving the way for her son to come later, and second, the request. We see something similar in 1 Kings chapter 1 verse 11 to 21. Nathan first had Solomon's mother, Bathsheba, approach the aged King David with the news that Adonijah was seizing power. Then Nathan himself went to the king with the same information. Now, consider you're taking a vacation. You go to Hawaii, and on the way home, stop at the Grand Canyon. Sasabihin mo sa isang kaibigan mo, friend, nagbakasyon ako, pumunta ako ng Hawaii. And then sa isa mo namang kaibigan, sabihin mo, friend, nung nagbakasyon ako, binisita ko na din yung Grand Canyon. If the friends compare notes, they will find an apparent inconsistency. Surely they will conclude that, well, he must have gone to both places. After all, going to one doesn't exclude going to the other. So, ganun lang din po sa gospel stories. We find what appear to be inconsistencies because they appear such only because the gospel are themselves fragmentary accounts of life of Christ, each account including different fragments. It's Brother Zayn na nagsasabing, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, and knock and it will be open to you. Thank you so much and God bless us all. Have a nice day ahead.